Hello Aries friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Aries October 2020 Astrology Must Knows. Wow, where do I start this month? I believe it's going to be one of the most intense months of the whole year, and that is saying a lot considering we've had a very intense year. I am going to go into all of the layers as to why this is so, and I'll give you these pieces of yarn to understand that are going to weave the fabric of your experience for this month and beyond. It's going to be really, really, really intense. Okay, so let's look at all of the factors. The first thing that I want to talk about has to do with the fact that we have not one but two full moons this month. Just to kind of start to understand the general energy of this month, remember back to June and July when I was like, okay guys, hold on to your hats because it's going to be kind of intense for everybody, but especially for Aries in June and July. And some of the factors that made that super intense have shifted because the eclipses that are coming now are going to be in favorable signs for you. And the eclipses that came in June and July were not in favorable signs to you. So there is a good chance that the type of intensity that will come will be better than it was in the summer or winter for you all down under. And the types of changes that come are more likely to be very positive and not as just awful as the last 2 years has been for many Aries placements from the middle of 2018 to the middle of 2020. But the more superficial factors of that time are in place at this time, which is the first thing is that Mercury was retrograde in Cancer in that June-July timeframe, a water sign. Now we're going to have Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, a water sign. And we know how water signs affect our fire. I have Aries rising, so I'm always along with you with this. And a planet moving through water is annoying to us. And a planet moving retrograde and just assaulting that area is super annoying. And it's going to show up. We're just going to have to deal with it. There are going to be emotions, high, heavy emotions. But for those of you who are brave Aries, as every Aries I know is, you have a chance to conquer something. Conquer something that's been holding you back. Conquer many things that have been holding you back. You know, you're the least scaredy cats of the zodiac. So don't let the layers that I'm going to share with you make you worry about this month. Look at it as a chance for transformation. But do know that people in your life that are annoying anyway, they're going to be really annoying right now. And you might notice this every year at this time when the planets move through September, through Libra and Scorpio in September and like October and into November, those aspects, because the Libra aspects oppose Aries, and then the Scorpio energies are watery and emotional, and they make an awkward angle for Aries. And those are two relationship signs. So the whole story of me versus we comes into the forefront at this time. And people who are already annoying might get way more annoying, and other people who are not annoying could start to be annoying. So just kind of prepare yourself that, especially with Mars retrograde and there being a chance that you could have anger and resentment coming up if you're trying to force agendas that aren't supposed to be forced, that, you know, this could be a recipe for not good things. But there are things you can do to avert potential bad outcomes, okay? The first thing is to keep yourself as calm and grounded as possible, to deal with anger issues using whatever psychological therapies. I like EFT, clearing your liver, gallbladders. I've been saying that livers and gallbladders with Mars in retrograde, in Aries especially, are having, you know, livers and gallbladders across the world are having conniption fits, is what I've been calling it. Because liver rules anger and gallbladder rules resentment, and those are the keynotes of things that are coming to the surface. Your gallbladder might need some help, okay? And this is going to become more of a common thing, especially as people are, and I agree, and I don't really eat a lot of dairy myself. It's rare that I have dairy. So people not eating dairy are leaning very heavily on these beautiful, tasty coconut products. Coconut products have a massive amount of fat, and you need to know this, okay? Everybody needs to know this, but I'm really talking about this for Aries because your ruler is retrograde, it's ruler in, retrograde in your sign, and this is going to come up for a lot of Aries placements. You might need to have pretty heavy fat processing lipase enzymes to process this this increase in fat if you're using things like this, okay? And that might be causing a lot of trouble for you. And addressing this can actually take down your resentment load, take down your liver anger load. If you're getting pains over in this area and you're getting pains even down here, it refers down to the biliary tree. Of course, the appendix is down there too. That could be something with your gallbladder. I'm not a doctor and I'm certainly not diagnosing you, but these are just some of the signs, that you could be having some issues with this. And it's multifaceted. It's not just physiological. It's not just dietary. It is also not just emotional, but it is all of those things. When Aries, or anybody, but especially Aries at this time, tries to force anything, it is going to boomerang back at you. Okay, so if you're trying to force something with a partnership or with a relationship of any kind, because of these angles and because of the retrograde and all of this happening, it's not going to go well. One of the best things you can do, major must know for this time, is to try to independently or with a practitioner deal with the anger and the resentment that comes up and work it out before you interact with another person about it who's the source of your annoyance. You're not going to be able to interact with them in a very productive way unless you get some of the charge off of it. And this is really critical for you and your health at this time. But now, all that being said, navigating it this way can actually completely change how you relate to other people. It can completely transform your level of peace. It can completely transform how you use your energy. And it is going to be hard, but if you do it, it can completely change your life. One of the hardest things for Aries to do is to not say what they're thinking in the time when someone's annoying them. And I really appreciate this about Aries because I definitely don't resonate when people are like passive aggressive or they're like saying things not to your face and avoiding confrontation, because I like things to be out in the open and Aries tends to like to do that. But at this time, this is a part of a re-education process for Aries. The whole second year of 2020 is a re-education process for Aries to try to use some techniques and tools to deal with the extra charge that you have about things before you go to try to address it with somebody else. One of my favorite tools to do this, I always talk about EFT, the Emotional Freedom Technique, which you can look up, but there's another book. It's a lesser known one called Marriage of Spirit. Marriage of Spirit by Leslie Temple Thurston has writing exercises in section 2 that if you can use these writing exercises before you go to talk to somebody about something, you will find that your conversations will become 100 million times more productive, your stress levels will be 100 million times lower, and your peace and happiness has a chance to flourish in ways that you could not imagine. And this is coming to a head this month, okay? So this is particularly must know for Aries. Okay, so we talked about how the retrograde is going to bring things up and it's going to be emotional. Also, what you need to know about this retrograde for Mercury is that plan changes are very likely. Keeping your schedule as light as possible this month is going to, first of all, protect you from changes that can be annoying and inconvenient. Second of all, can leave the emotional space to deal with things that come up for you or other people that you care for, because people are going to be freaking out this month, okay? Just like I told you in August, that things are, and where I'm recording this, and you can see that things are going bonkers. People are doing crazy things. People are driving like mega lunatics, worse than usual. These aggressive aspects and the retrograde starting to set in is really, really getting at people, especially if they don't understand what is happening. So those are must-knows. Keep your schedule light. Be prepared to deal with your emotions and other people's emotions. Be prepared to deal with a massive amount of uncertainty. And this was a key note of June and July. And I had told you all at that time, hold off until the end of July before making big decisions if you can help it, because, and now I'm saying the same thing about the middle to end of November and into December, and maybe even into January. If you can hold off on making big decisions and plans in that time, you'll see that a lot of pieces of information are going to come in that could change what you were going to do. So it's not a great time for launches in October. It's not a great time for making a big decision. If you have to make a decision, the best thing to do is make an interim decision, something to bridge you while you receive all the information, something flexible, light, or short term that you can change directions as is necessary. Now, as I referred to before, one big positive difference about this period of time compared to the summer or winter for you all down under was that those eclipses were in obnoxious angles for you, for us. These eclipses are in beautiful angles for you, for us. Okay? So this time, another facet of this month of October that is like June and July is that it's eclipse energy, because we have an eclipse in November and an eclipse in December, one in Gemini and one in Sag, both which will kiss your placements. And we'll talk more about those in the November and December reports. But just to know that that's much more friendly. But the reason why I talk about this before is the 4 to 6 weeks before the eclipses actually start happening, a lot of news and things brewing and starting to come to the surface of what might be the changes are going to come. So you're going to have some information, but it's going to be limited. And that uncertainty is particularly annoying to Aries, right? We want to know what's going to happen yesterday. We want to know the direction we're going in. We want to head there. Mars is going retrograde. Ambitions are low. Oomph is going backwards. And things might be gelling for you in a really big way, but most of those things are not going to be things that you're trying to force. Okay, so another must know for this time, as we've been talking about for all of the Mars retrograde months, is that if you try to push something, anything, whether it's a conversation or it's an agenda or it's a plan or anything, even down to trying to make a weekend trip work or anything, it's likely to boomerang back at you and could actually put you in harm's way if you try to force it, okay? Because they can be pretty nasty energies that boomerang back. But things could be wanting to gel for you, and things could be wanting to push you on a path where you're coasting. And if you can just change lanes, like change out of the lane that has the big pile up, don't try to go that lane. Go into the lane where everybody's going, the speed they're supposed to be going, and things are lighting up for you, and you jump on that, and you can have things coast for you in a big way. It will minimize your anger. It will minimize your resentment. It will help things to flow much easier. But if you need something that needs like a lot of oomph and a lot of zest, like a launch or a big decision or a major trajectory shift, towards the end of November, into December, and into January, all of the factors that have been bogging us down, the Mars retrograde, the Mercury retrograde, the uncertainty of the eclipses, the Jupiter and Saturn in Capricorn, restricting, giving this a year of restriction. Those factors are going to dissolve away in November, December, and into January, and we're going to open into some pretty spectacular stars. Very must know for Aries. December, Jupiter and Saturn get into Aquarius, and this is fantastic news. I've been alluding to this because as we've talked about all those eclipses in Capricorn and Cancer and the outer planets moving through Capricorn have been bad for Aries placements. Those of you in the later degree placements, especially, or even really the second half of the sign. So basically like April 5th or so through the rest of the sign, or like 15 degrees through 29 degrees, things have been extra difficult still for those of you in the second half there. But as these planets that have been dogging you, and me too, because I'm in that spectrum, get into Aquarius, they're going to kiss our placements, and every Aries will have reasons to celebrate. Every single Aries between December and April is going to get major kisses from Jupiter in a beautiful angle to your placement, expansion, options, things opening up. It's very easy to start to feel like the things that are going on in August when I'm recording this, September, October, when you're listening to this, that restriction, that level of restriction is going to always be there. But it is not always going to be there. It's there because these energies in Capricorn are bringing to a head the epitome of Saturnian energy, which Saturn rules Capricorn, and Saturn's in Capricorn, and Jupiter and Pluto are there, and Pallas Athena is there. And it's giving us a year of restriction coupled with the retrogrades, okay? But as we get out of the retrogrades, which happens towards the end of the year, as we get out of Jupiter and Saturn being in Capricorn. Jupiter won't go back for 12 years. Saturn won't go back for almost 30 years. We're going to move not only into more options for everybody, but into nice angles. And a lot of the things that seem like they were working against you for the last few years, you might start to have things really starting to turn. Tides can really start turning for Aries placements, and I know that's going to be a huge relief. Sometimes we have to take an active role in our destiny, and we have to do something like to change the factors that were at play. So if you believe a certain thing and that's causing problems for you, if you have trauma that's not healed and it's serving as a beacon to draw in more trauma, you might have to deal with those things. The transits alone might not be enough to give you the beauty and the yumminess of what wants to come for you. But this is a perfect month to deal with those things because it's bringing emotion to the forefront. And as we talk about all the time, Aries does not particularly like that. We like the emotion of anger or excitement or inspiration. That's a fun emotion. We like those emotions and we thrive. We like, okay, I'm mad about something, so now I'm going to take action on it and I'm going to be productive. I'm inspired and now I'm going to help people or do something exciting. We love that emotion. But the emotions of like the sadness and the grief and the uncertainty and the, that we don't like that. But we do have to sometimes deal with that to get to where we're going. So try to do everything you can to heal PTSD. Look up ways to do that. I love NLP, EMDR, EFT, the Presence Process by Michael Brown, the Marriage of Spirit exercises, can all be very, very beneficial to help you step into what's going to go on. And those of you who are in the late degree placements, like we'll say around 22 degrees through 29 degrees, or the last week of the sign. So that's like April 16th or 17th. It depends on what day the end of Aries goes to in the year you were born as to exact. But like in the last week of the sign, or the last 7 days, you all are going to get triple kisses from Jupiter in 2021, because Jupiter is not going to retrograde until it gets into Pisces. Then it's going to come back and double over all of the late degree placements, okay? And then those of you who are in the early part of the spectrum, so like March born Aries, you're going to get extra special kisses all of 2021 from Saturn. So that's very exciting. Okay, so something else adding to the emotion this month is that we have 2 full moons, one on October 1st and one on October 31st. The second full moon in a sign or in a month, a calendar month, is a blue moon. So we have a blue moon on this magical time of Halloween, of Samhain, of Dia de los Muertos, of, whatever you celebrate. At that time, we know the veils are thin during that time. We know the veils are thin at full moons. We know the veils are thin, especially at a blue moon. And you combine all those factors together, then add Uranus conjunct the moon, as it will be on October 31st. And wow, breakthroughs aplenty. This can also bring jostles that aren't great. So keep yourself, people can be unstable, and you might, if you have a psychological thing that's breaking down, it could affect your psyche. So just kind of be aware of that at that time. You might need extra support. But the chance for spiritual breakthroughs is through the roof. The chance to connect with people who've crossed over through dreams or through however, synchronicities, the chance to have communications from angels and guides, and to really see beyond the veil is going to be super strong at this time, at the end of the month, the last few days of October, the first few days of November. So that's going to be really intense. Of course, we have to note as well that the October 1st full moon is in your sign. So this is like a really big deal. So all of Aries placements are going to have extra energy of fullness, completion, fruition, for better or worse. Sometimes full moons bring something like especially in Aries, with recognition, with people knowing you, of notoriety, of certainty about yourself, self-esteem, figuring out, an important piece, even if it's an internal decision you make. Because like I said, huge decisions might not get a lot of oomph this month, but if you make an internal decision and then let the energy sort of get to where they can support it, then you can bring it out and develop it more. But that might have some footing at this month. Now, of course, sometimes health things or psychological things or something challenging can come up, or drama can come at a full moon too. So those of you who are between 4 degrees and 14 degrees, especially the closer you get to 9 degrees, that's when the actual full moon is where the actual full moon is going to be. It's going to be extra intense for you all. So this is basically like, we'll say around March 26th-ish through like 26, through like the first few days in April. And then like the very end of March and the very beginning of April, those days there with the most intensity. Okay, so that spectrum is going to be amplified for you all, and that you'll really notice it. All right, so we've talked about how we've had this year of restriction and about how things are going to open up, and that's very exciting, and how this month is going to bring like an epitome of the energy of emotion and restriction, and is coming to a head, and there's so much uncertainty. And of course the U.S. elections are going to be a factor here, you know, but the astrology is what's behind all of this welling up. Okay, so people are going to be really afraid at this time because of all these emotional things I've listed, and also because Libra rules the kidneys. Okay, so we talked about how the liver and the gallbladder are going to be accentuated by the Mars and the Aries and the retrograde and all that kind of stuff, and there are going to be things to deal with. You have to baby your liver and heal it and deal with your gallbladder and all that. And do know, if a doctor wants you to get your gallbladder out, be open, if it feels right to you, to seek alternative options for clearing your gallbladder. I'm not a doctor. Again, I can't consult on what's going to be best for you. There could be situations where that's what has to happen. But in the alternative realms, we clear out gallbladders and we get this, you know, the backup out and clear things out. There are ways that this can be done. So just kind of look into your options before you make any big decisions there. Because again, this isn't the best month unless you're in a life or death situation. It's not the best month to make a decision for a surgery or something like that. Like trying some different things might be in order. But in any case, so Libra rules the kidneys, and the kidneys rule the energy of fear. So as the sun moves through Libra, as it opposes to Libra placements, as it's, you know, and we have some other placements in Libra as well, this fear circuit is going to be activated. So the adrenals, so there's a fear channel through your body. The adrenals, fight, flight, or freeze, down into the kidneys, goes down to the psoas, which starts at the attachment of the vertebrae here, goes through your hips, piriformis muscles involved, goes down your legs, your knees, down to your feet. Okay, that's a fear channel. And Spirit has been telling me that tightness in the psoas muscles and the piriformis muscles can really get you paralyzed with fear, like literally where you can't move forward. Sciatica is an outcome of fear, where especially when the piriformis muscle is inflamed and it's agitating the sciatic nerve. So tight psoas muscles and tight piriformis muscles can be what's interfering with a natural flow of fear, like feeling the fear and then it flowing out. So if you're noticing that, you know, Aries energy tends to feel the fear and do it anyway. Okay, I'm afraid. Yeah, okay, I'm going to do that or whatever. I'm not afraid enough to not do something, okay? But if you find you're getting paralyzed with fear, and it might happen this month, you stretching and releasing your psoas and your piriformis muscles could actually make a difference. Now, if you have brittle bones or hip replacements or knee replacements or something medical that goes on where this isn't a good idea for you, have a practitioner help you with this, and people are trained in how to do this. But for everybody else, you can look up PSOAS, which is the psoas muscle, and piriformis, PIRIFORMIS, and see how you can stretch and release these. And you will hate me when you start to stretch them because it's going to hurt a lot. You'll see how much you need to do it when you start to try to do it. But you'll notice that the fear will start to get its flow through and won't hold you back as much. So that's really exciting. Okay, so what else? Oh yeah, so the last point that I want to talk about is this month being the encapsulation of this year, which is an energy of transition. We know what the energy of transition is. It's a bridge between moving from one place to another. But the transition definition in the birthing community is when a woman's cervix is completely dilated, the baby's about to come out. Sometimes that time between the cervix being dilated and the baby coming out can be a long time for people. You know, it could be a short transition or a long one, but one of the keynotes of the actual transition is that the mother says, I can't do this. There's no way. The baby's never coming out. The baby is never coming out. I'm telling you. And then they'll get all ornery, if someone says, no, the baby's coming out. And then they'll be like, it's not funny. The baby's not coming out. And they get like unreasonable where it's transition. That's what happens. So this month, you might feel like things are impossible. You might feel like you're going to crack under the pressure and there's no way that anything can become free again and everything is just done. And then the surrender happens and you crack it, the new birth. Okay? So this is very likely when it happens. So if you know it's going to happen and you start feeling those feelings, you can remember that I said that was going to happen, and it will help you to get through it, to know that as the retrogrades wear off towards the end of the year, as the planets move into Aquarius, as we get away from these angles that are obnoxious for us, it really has a very strong chance of moving more into a positive realm. And anything that isn't moving into a positive realm is your indicator that those areas need some attention in your inner world so that you can vibrationally match for the potentials that want to open up for you. Okay, so I have more resources for you. If you want to know the sweet and salty dates of the month, and we do have double the salty dates, and whenever that happens, we have a chance for major alchemy. This is a major alchemy month. But if you want a write-up of all the sweet dates, the salty dates, what the aspects are, what you can expect from them, plus a general write-up of the month delivered to your inbox 1 month early, you can sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. You'll also get my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine for free when you do that. I only send out 3 emails a month. I don't like to be spammed, so I don't spam you. I only send out information-based emails that will give you more of how you can manage and understand the energies that are weaving your experience. All of the links that I'm giving you are also in the notes underneath the video. So if you click on more, the little arrow, it will reveal all of these notes. You can see my Mars retrograde blog and video, which I highly recommend since Mars is your ruler. You really want to understand this transit. You can also go to cozybysweetstarlight.com and get my written horoscopes 1 month early posted. And those are super simple, and they often talk about different things than I go into in the videos, and it's not technical at all. So for your friends who don't like technical astrology, you can recommend my written horoscopes for them, and they can definitely benefit from that, including great reads for each sign each month. And it's just a beautiful site. You will love it. cozybysweetstarlight.com. If you want to take free classes, you can go to my courses and my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. And one of the courses is called Unleash Your Money Magnet. It used to be a paid course. Now it's free, so you can cash in on all those goodies. I also have some very few paid offerings. Most of my offerings are free, but one of those is my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course. If you think I go into a massive amount of detail in these videos, you should see what I do in that course. So it can prepare you to just do whatever you want to do in your evolution with astrology for you and your friends and family, or help you to do astrology professionally and how to make that work. So you can see that at lumelife.com. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.